thank you for that 50 euro tip. I appreciate you, brother. We should be up and running. Lots of chaos today. I said this in an earlier post. I had a bunch of people unsubscribing yesterday because I had grabbed cash because of my concerns about upcoming tariff retaliation. And then today I have people unsubscribing, I think, because there's tariff retaliation and the markets are going down. It's fascinating. Feel like it's hard to win in an environment like this. Then I had somebody comment in a post saying that I was a hypocrite and that people should do the opposite of what I have to say. So this is a fun environment that we're in right now. It's just the way it is. People are hurting, and I get it. I do think people need to try and be nice to each other. I don't know if you need to be nice to me, but I'm really good at blocking, so it doesn't matter too much anyway. But just try and be nice to other people. There's a lot of people getting crushed. Robinhood was down 10.36% yesterday and is down 6.3% today. Oil almost got down into the 50s today. The bond yields for the 10-year are getting ready to fall off a cliff. I actually think we're going to be in the twos before summertime here. So there's a lot of stuff happening. We got Papa Powell talking to us today. But I do believe a lot of this is good. We're doing the right things. It might not seem like it, but I just put over here, there's this post from Chris Patel, and even Chris was bitching about tariffs the other day and bitching about Trump. But he did say this. He said, here's the ultimate problem. Unless we control our national debt, we're cooked. We're cooked. And that's the reality of it, okay? So whether you like what's happening or not, getting the bond yields down dramatically, 3.3% today, is good. Getting oil down to the 50s is good. You can hate the fact that you're losing money. That's okay. All right. But it's good for us to do this. We need to be on a sustainable course. And I want to show another post he has here. I don't know if the math is perfect, but it's close. He said the ultimate goal is to move more bills into notes and bonds at a more manageable rate. And I do agree. That is what we're looking to do. And he said bills from 25% of debt to 15% if we get 2% raise. You got to remember, there's the Bitcoin bond where we could do it at 1%, right? There's a lot of different handles that we can pull in the future. I got to say this, though. If you look, Bitcoin's holding on pretty good today at 82.5. Like, that's still pretty good. That's on our 4-year trend. What's fascinating to me today, though, is this, and I kind of wish, again, I don't know. I'm gonna deal with it. I sold a bunch of MSTU and MSTX yesterday, but if you look at pre-market, MSTR is actually holding on crazy fucking strong right now. That could be a sign of what's to come. I will say this though, somebody showed a chart yesterday that showed, it was Kevin Svensson, actually. I'm going to grab it real quick because I do think it's a good one to look at. So here's what I'm worried about today in regard to Bitcoin, and it doesn't have to be. The U.S. should sell off its gold reserves. I don't know that we have to sell off all the gold reserves, but we can revalue gold, and there's some trickery we can do where I don't know if the Treasury Secretary is going to do it, but I think it's good stuff. Now, I did want to talk to this, and Kevin Svensson yesterday was talking about how Bitcoin was much stronger than the S&P. There's two schools of thought here. One, the S&P was simply a prelude to what's coming for Bitcoin today, and it just moved first. Or two, Bitcoin is actually starting to break away from the stock market and become a strong asset that people want to hold on to. That would be fascinating. That would be fascinating if that's what's happening right now. And again, I don't have this right on the chart in front of me here, but we have a 10-year or a 4-year trend line with Bitcoin right now that we're expecting and that I think will be hard to get underneath. Is this? No, I don't know why this is under gold. Let me just fix this real quick. 1 second here. I got a broken chart. So if you look over here, again, this is kind of fascinating. The fact that we are, in fact, finding strength here is good. So we got the 10-year coming down, good. We got the 2-year coming down, good. We've got oil coming down, nearing the 50s, good. But there is some chaos in markets. We've got transportation. We're basically locking up the economy right now. So here's what I wanted to point out over here, and I pointed this out in the chart. Bitcoin could drop. We can test to 77. We could test down to 72. Heck, we could test all the way down here to maybe 70K or even as low as like 65, just because of the environment that we're in. But if we don't, even though the stock market is bleeding out, that's potentially a very fascinating view into what's happening in the markets right now. Honestly, it would be a very interesting thing for that to happen and not to see weakness in Bitcoin, because there's a lot of pressure being applied to Bitcoin. There's a lot of buyers in Bitcoin right now. And so if it can maintain, that would be exciting. I bailed yesterday on my MSTX and MSTU positions because I'm afraid of the premium, which I believe was sitting at 1.7 yesterday, which is lower than what it was. I mean, this thing was in the 3+. But just in the current environment, I would rather be safe. I can buy the dip. I can probably use miners. They're getting utterly destroyed. I can still buy into some of that. I can buy into other things that are just getting crushed right now. That's all okay. I should probably, let me do this. I'll get back to, I want to go to U.S. economy because I want to focus on some of that. And so this turbine thing, we'll just go through it quick. I said wind doesn't make a lot of sense. So they were showing how these wind turbines take 600 to 1,000 tons of concrete to be able to build. There's a bunch of, they're built with balsa wood, which is obtained from deforesting the Amazon forest. The turbines contain concrete, carbon fiber, steel, cast iron, copper, aluminum, boron, chromium, cobalt, like just a bunch of different rare earth elements on top of it, and they only have a 25-year lifespan. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Wind energy is not a great tool. I think solar storage systems, nuclear gas are all better, honestly, than that. But yeah, so we have an unsustainable debt load. We can refinance this at much better rates when we get the 10-year down. And I think that's really good. And again, we're getting ready to break down. Actually, here it looked like it was getting close to the green line. If I go over here and pull it up right now, I think it's actually, well, oil's at 61 and change. And yeah, we're getting real close. 3.905% right now, under the 4. We broke the 4% range on the 10-year. Let me look at chat here real quick too. Good morning, China. Somebody's pissed at China. Martin's pissed at China. 10-year looks good under 4. It does. Akash 2000. Where will you deploy your capital? Some leaps? Probably. I'm going to do it slowly. I'm in no rush. I have really good positions, I feel like, for a recovery later this year into the beginning of next. So I'm in no rush to deploy just a shit ton of capital. I'm slowly just going to be biting into things. Yeah, at least TLT's going up 2.33%. Let's see what our calls look like today. Maybe we get a 20% boost. I don't know if anybody's looking at them. I'm hoping for something like that. But yeah, let's keep going. So again, I posted this morning about how oil could get closer to the 50s, right? And now it's already down to 61 and down almost 8%. So it's getting there. Looks like Bitcoin is slowly disintegrating a little bit here today. We'll see what happens there. Will you be buying Nvidia at 100? Nah. It's just not enough of an asymmetric bet for me. Not right now. I've got other things to do. All right, here's what I wanted to show real quickly here. So this is a big one. So this is the Dow Trucking Index. What this tells me, it's the worst day in trucking stocks since Lehman Brothers. Worse than the March 2020 pandemonium. So what this tells me is that shipping is completely freezing up. Completely. And this is going to be devastating to China. They're going to try dumping goods on Europe, but then they're probably going to get tariffed there. I don't know. They're trying to be big balls. Evidently, they don't know that job was already taken, but they're trying to be big balls, and I think that's going to be problematic for them because China's in no position to be able to do what they're doing. And again, they're hitting up with rare earth elements. This will increase prices. They've got 34% tariffs that they've invoked this morning on U.S. goods, which is a huge number. So essentially, we are nearing, I can't say we're at peak trade war, but we've taken the next step, which is the Chinese retaliations, which I'm sure we'll retaliate against or go to the negotiating table, probably retaliate against. And then we have Europe still coming. So there's more pain, I think, to be felt in markets. I'd be surprised if they don't continue to drop further. But That said, the tariffs with China, they don't kick in until the 11th. The big tariffs for the United States don't kick in until the 9th. So all parties so far are giving themselves time to fight it out. And maybe the US does another tariff that goes into effect on like the 12th or something to where we can escalate them up and then they can start communicating with each other to try and bring them back down. I think that's probably the most likely path. So maybe we start to see some kind of resolution next week by the 9th where the markets stop bleeding all across the world. We'll see. DC 2023, we do have to take care of our debt, especially if we're going to manufacture and depend less on other countries. We can't print off our problems anymore. Inflation is more direct since we can't. Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good point. So if chat, are we cooked? Nice. If you're trying to make it to where you're producing more goods in your own country, there's a crucial aspect of that. You can't just if you've got the cycle and the loop inside of your own country and the loop isn't going outside of your country, then if you inflate the money supply a lot, you actually end up creating inflation in your own country. And so that's a really good point. We don't want that. That's not a great thing. It's a transition, though. It's a long transition. We've got some time before that starts to happen, before that we need to have that more sustainable loop. And the sustainable loop is actually will happen in the United States, I strongly believe, just because no other major country is doing it. No other major country right now is working towards having a stable system while embracing Bitcoin, while embracing crypto, while opening up their economy to business. So there's this whole like tariffs are increased at the fastest rate since the 1930s. I can't remember. I think it's like what's the name? I'm bastardizing it. The something Holly Act. You guys help me out in chat. Anyway, but this was the tariff. These were the tariffs that went into effect in the 30s, and they stayed in. And protectionism was very strong. And the president at that time wasn't trying to open up his market towards other markets in the world. It was just about protectionism. Smoot Hawley, thank you, TT. I just couldn't get it for some reason. I did get better sleep though, which is nice. But yeah, so the Smoot Hawley back in the 1930s, that was something that was implemented, and we've done more than that now. But again, I don't think we're going to be escalating and keeping all of it. That's not the goal here. So short-term pain, lots of craziness, oil plummeting, bonds coming down just the way we wanted them to, which is really healthy for the bond market. Trucking getting hit, companies getting hit with international exposure. Everybody is freezing up completely and utterly right now. You look at CNBC and it's just nightmare scenarios all over the place. But there's things you need to remember, like Tesla. Tesla down 6.5% today. Tesla is probably one of the least impacted companies in regard to tariffs. Will there be impact because of rare earth elements? Yes, there would be. But these components don't roll up into the kind of losses that we're seeing in the stock today. This is literally going to be the lowest tariff automaker on earth right now. Because they build so much in the regions that they're in, and they try to localize their supply chains. So there's just stuff you got to think of. The service sector. So, and Andre said here, the service sector is now is in our U.S. nowcast is falling apart. Flight bookings down 1.7 standard deviations in a month. Similar pain in hotels and restaurants. Not taking sides, but Trump is seriously pissed off the world. Watch the wheels come off ISM services later this week. I think he's probably right. It's actually a fast-acting part of the sector, or our sector of the economy. So I do think he's right. I think we'll see more pain there. Again, MSTR is still at 0.83%. That is fascinating considering the pressure we're seeing on markets this morning. So let me see if there's anything else I really wanted to touch in here. Again, TLT is probably going to end up being a great hedge. I wish I had more of it today. It's actually up 2.23% in pre-market. I think these, at least over this next week here, I can see a lot of people jumping into TLT. I think that with bonds dropping the way they are, with the 2-year down, let's see what it is right now, with the 2-year bouncing off the 200 moving average on the weekly, that could be a temporary support zone. But that's down 4% on the day, and then the 10-year is down a little over 3. These are crazy levels. Yeah, the VIX is at 41. It's nuts. Jesse, I've been DCAing. Would you recommend continuing any of these? CleanSpark. Um, I wouldn't do July's. I think July is too soon, man. I think July is way too soon, and I'm doing like lower strike prices. I haven't went so for you're asking about Bitcoin miners, and then RG in like January and June. I would push out your time frames as far as you can get. That's what I would do. I'm only in December's and like November's is probably the only thing I'm adding to for Bitcoin, and then for RG, if I'm adding, it's going to be like June, because I want to give myself the max allotment of time for the economy to recover. And I'm not. James bought Nvidia yesterday. Cool. He can get even more of it today, down 4.4%. But I'm not looking to apply a ton of capital. I'll just be inching my way in because I'm patient. I have a ton of money still in the market, that can get me 6 to 10x very, very quickly. I think 10 million is by far my minimum for the end of this year, if markets recover and we just get back to, no major trade wars. So I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm going to be, and so I can slowly apply capital on days like today, and maybe we get another one on Monday, or maybe this is the bottom. We are so oversold right now. Uh, Again, there's a lot of conflicting stuff. The trade war is like something that can just give you, it's the pain that keeps giving, right? Especially since we haven't even gotten Europe's retaliation yet. Elon is being extremely quiet on these tariffs. So Elon, actually, there's a post about a week ago where Elon was, somebody said something about like, we're going to endure a lot of pain, but we're going to come out of this in like a year or two and things are going to be really good. And he's like, exactly. So yeah, it's at 6. It was at 6, I believe, briefly yesterday too. So we are seeing, can it get lower? Can the CNN Fear and Greed Index get lower? Sure. Not much. Not much lower. So if we look over here with our 7.67, it's actually lower than that now. We are pretty freaking close to like what December of 2020, or I'm sorry, May of 2022 for oversold conditions. See Argentina, we will be okay. Yeah, I agree. I actually agree. I think Argentina is a great example of how there's light at the end of the tunnel. They weren't going into a trade war at the same time, though. They were just doing the things that they needed to do in order to be able to reset their economy internally. So the variables are a little bit different this time around. But I do think we have the winning hand. And everybody needs to negotiate. And I don't see in any way how China can sustain what they're doing right now. They can't. They can't. Like here's what I do see though, and maybe that's why MicroStrategy is actually up today. I see a lot of money printing. I see a lot of money printing going on. A lot of money printing. Just think about it. If we're trade warring for the next, and maybe that's a variable I missed on MicroStrategy. It's possible. We'll see what happens today. But I think that there's going to be a ton of money printing because China needs to survive. I don't know about the U.S. printing money, but China needs to survive. Europe needs to survive, and we know they're willing to print a ton of money. So, and we're just the purchaser of the goods. We can slow down for a little bit. I don't know. We'll probably end up having to print money too. There's just a lot going on right now. But I do think that I do see some money printers going burr. Larry Leopard's, the biggest print is coming. Leopards. Yeah, no, I agree. There's probably a massive print coming. There's definitely going to be some money printer stuff going on here. It's going to go burr. M2 and printing going up, absolutely, yes, sir. Let's look at what do we got today. So we got at 7:30. We only have like 13 minutes. We got Canadian data for unemployment and participation and all that, and then the United States. So we're both coming out with those today. Fed Chair Powell. It says 10:25 on here. I don't know if this is right. Do we need to print or can we cut? I think that it's hard to say. That's a good question, Tyler. So here's the problem that I see right now. I see credit spreads widening, and I don't see lending happening. I like I said, for my taxes, I was just going to do like something I've done for like a decade. I was going to do a 0% offer for like 18 or 21 months. My credit scores averaged 825 to 840. Not bad. Pretty reasonable. But here's, yeah, Tom Lee had a nice conversation. But here's the wild thing. I couldn't get any. I got denied on every one for like 7 fucking reasons. None of them really good. And I've never had that problem before in over a decade of doing this, probably 15 years of doing this. So it does let me know that credit is tight. And then we're looking today and we're seeing credit spreads blowing out too. So you can see over here, at least the 3-year SOFR swap spread, it is, just moving fast, very, very fast. And so I said, what does it mean? Borrowers, higher swap costs hit real estate infrastructure or anyone with SOFR-related debt, which is like the above. Investors, wider spreads can tank bond values or single portfolio risk. So again, bond values are going down dramatically. Fed, it's a gauge of policy transmission. If spreads blow out, money's not flowing right. So the last part, that money not flowing right, that's the one I have a big problem with. So if the money isn't flowing right, then I don't know if cutting should hopefully help with that, right? But if money's still frozen, then it can be problematic. You can have lower rates and still not have people willing to lend because the environment is somewhat unstable. So, damn, Trump's tariffs are our biggest policy mistake in 95. Yeah, I listened to Jeremy Siegel. He did actually say, too, that if the tariffs don't last long, then he doesn't see a recession coming. But he seemed very emotional. He was just finding out about China's 34% tariff right when he went on the air. So I don't know. Yeah, he was definitely concerned about it. DC 2023, miners bouncing back here after initial 5% loss. Miners are, and MSTR is actually doing all right. So I don't know what we have in the way of Bitcoin-related news. Let me actually just hop over here and see if we have anything. Someone check if Jeremy investments in China. If Jeremy has Jeremy who? Siegel? Siegel's a pretty good guy. Trump just tariffed the entire world. Quick, let's sell the only scarce digital asset. Has nothing to do with any of this. It's a very good point, actually. Saylor never stops teaching Bitcoin. He was talking to Dave Portnoy. Bitcoin trades like a risk asset over the short term because it's the most liquid, saleable, 24/7 asset on Earth. It's time a panic. Traders sell what they can, not what they want to. Doesn't mean it isn't correlated long term. Just means it's always available. He's so smart. Like, that's exactly what he means. Or that's exactly right. El Salvador says, stop looking at the price and enjoy life. Yeah, okay. I don't see too much. If you guys see anything in the way of Bitcoin-related news, let me know. I'm just going to go back here. So, yeah, SOFR rates were blowing out. Craig Shapiro says stagflation ISM numbers is not what the doctor ordered. So I think we can just see a slowdown in everything. And with economic data that we're going to be seeing today, let's just look here. So non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate, average hourly earnings, participation rate, average hourly weekly hours, government payrolls, manufacturing, government payrolls. That'll be interesting. Manufacturing, non-farm, U6 unemployment, and then Fed Chair Powell. So we'll get a much more thorough look at unemployment-related data today, which should be fascinating. Let's hop over here real quick. I want to see. I'm going to jump over real quick to tariff-related things. If you guys see anything interesting coming up in regard to conversations or posts, please let me know. Tariffs. Ann Bauer said, because using, so this person, FedSpeak, put, why do we want to manufacture microwaves and toasters in the United States? The year is 2025. And this person put, because using slave labor in China to make a $12 toaster that lasts for a year and a half and then gets landfilled is morally bankrupt. I do agree with that. Bill Ackman said, Warren Buffett on trade deficits. Please explain what is wrong with Warren's analysis. So this is older. This is from 2003. This is from a Fortune magazine, and let's read this real quick. America's growing trade deficit is selling the nation out from under us. Here's a way to fix the problem, and we need to do it now. This is 22 years ago. I'm about to deliver a warning regarding the U.S. trade deficit and also suggest a remedy for the problem, but I need to mention 2 reasons you might want to be skeptical about what I say. To begin, my forecasting record with respect to macroeconomics is far from inspiring. For example, over the past 2 decades, I was excessively fearful of inflation, but more to the point, I started way back in 1997 to publicly worry about our mounting trade deficits. And as you know, we not only survive, but also thrive. So on the trade front, score at least one wolf for me. Nevertheless, I'm crying wolf again. But again, and we made it survive for a long time. But what has it done over that time? It's enriched one of our greatest enemies on this planet who wants to destroy the West and be a conqueror and take over the South China Sea, which they've been militarizing for over a decade and we've just ignored. And now they're antagonizing their neighbors. They're trying to destroy things like again, our ability to produce solar around the world, destroyed from dumping and them basically spending 10% of their revenue that last year just to lower the costs of goods so that they can destroy foreign markets to make it anti-competitive and make them go away. So these unfair trade practices that China's been putting forth to take advantage of this is destroying us. It's destroying our country. And it's doing it in a more rapid fashion. And we have to hold the line. We have, even if it means going into a recession, we can with pro-growth policies, with bond yields coming down and our ability to be able to refinance our debt, with embracing Bitcoin, with embracing crypto, with lowering taxes in our country, we're doing all the right things for us to be able to recover. And it's way different than what happened in the 30s. So I just don't, we have to do this. And it's not like Smoot-Hawley back in the 30s where we're just becoming protectionist and closing ourselves off from the rest of the world. It might seem like that right now because we're trying to apply pressure to lower trade barriers with other major trading partners. It might seem like that. But in the end, our objective is to open things up and to lower the trade deficits that we have with the rest of the world and to help American workers here and to incentivize business to come to the United States. And these are all the things that we have to start doing. These are all the things that we have to start doing. And so can the markets continue to fall today? Yes, they could. And I'll be a buyer of it. But I've got cash on the side and I can weather a storm. And I think that we still recover. And I think that this is exactly what Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick have been telling us they're going to be doing all of this. They've been telling us this and telegraphing it. Jarvis, thank you for joining as a member. But people aren't listening, right? People didn't listen. They said, hey, we're going to return manufacturing to the United States. We're going to fix these trade deficits. And we're going to lower bond yields so that we're on a sustainable path for our debt loads. And we're doing all of it. And yet the world didn't want to listen to it, and the United States didn't want to listen to it. And I got a feeling they're starting to listen right now. So again, if you're coming in late, China has put on measures to tariff 34% of all U.S. goods imposed on April 10th and added 11 U.S. companies to the unreliable list and made it to where some critical minerals they're starting to put constraints on so that we can't get as easy of access to them. Any chance Powell is bearish today? No. I think Powell's going to be dovish, which might give the markets a little bounce. He's not going to be hawkish. I mean, you say bearish, but I'm assuming you mean hawkish. He's not going to be hawkish today. He's going to be dovish today. That's what you're going to see. That's the play for today. Tippy 2000, what are your thoughts on how the tariffs were calculated based on trade deficits? I don't really care. It's just an opening salvo. It's them trying to make sure that they're getting everybody to the table, including the penguins. They got the penguins too. And again, you want to be a little bit crazy. That's the way it works. That's how you trade. You want to let the other side know, hey, I'm fucking crazier than you are. I will win this argument. Are you considering buying PayPal? No, I hate PayPal. I think it sucks. I think that X's payment system will end up crushing PayPal. I wanted to have greater aspirations for PayPal, but they haven't lived up to any of it. They don't seem any less woke than they were years ago when they were talking about fining people out of their own wallets for misinformation online, or the Canadian trucker incident where they locked down funds. They just don't seem any better to me, and the business isn't growing, and it's not doing all the things that I thought it was going to do. So I'm not interested in PayPal, honestly. Christ is King gave me $4.99 and said Biden administration used taxpayer dollars to pay millions of home mortgages that should have been forced delinquency 90-day rocketing. Yeah. But if you look at overall, if you look at delinquencies across the entirety of the real estate market, it's actually not that bad. But you're right. They did help a lot of people maintain their homes for a very long period of time for no particular reason. I actually think that it's good right now. So we don't have the issue where we have an oversupply of homes. We have an undersupply of homes. So I hate to say this because it sounds heartless, but it's probably a good thing that we see some of the existing homes get cleared out from people that can't afford them and that should maybe be in an apartment or something, because a lot of those are pretty cheap, at least regionally around most of the United States. So if you can't afford a house, you probably shouldn't have one, and the market needs to rebalance all of that. And that will actually, again, put more real estate on the market, which is a good thing, because we have a shortage right now. So we don't have the same problems that we had in the real estate market where it was like, oh God, it's all going to fall apart. The rating of real estate debt isn't the same between Moody's and all these rating agencies, where they were taking subprime loans that nobody should have ever got, that were adjustable for a lot of them, adjustable rate mortgages. So the second rates started to go up, people were fucked. Rates aren't going up anytime soon, and we don't have adjustable rate mortgages like other parts of the world right now. And we don't have an oversupply of housing like they do in China right now. We have an undersupply of housing. So am I worried about real estate? I'm not remotely worried about real estate. I think if anything, you're going to see it come more alive in the future. Real quickly, though, I wanted to play this. There's just a rash of these, okay? Oh, did we get the data? We got 1 minute. Yeah, we got 30 seconds on this. Let's play it.
We had a tire case in which they were flooding us with cheap domestic tires or cheap Chinese tires. And we put a stop to it. And as a consequence, saved jobs throughout America. I have to say that Governor Romney criticized me for being too tough in that tire case. Said this wouldn't be good for American workers and that it would be protectionist. But I tell you, those workers don't feel that way. They feel as if they had finally an administration who was going to take this issue seriously.
Isn't it funny to listen to Obama talk about protectionism and, fighting for American workers? And there's so much of that in the past from Chuck Schumer and others. I got a bunch of videos to show you. But it's just fascinating how the Democrats at one point were all about that, and now they're not. All right, so let's look here. We got data slowly rolling in. Let's see what it looks like and if it moves markets. Ooh. Got about 5 seconds, supposedly. Excuse me. All right, here we go. Should start getting it. I'm going to refresh. Got some Mexico data from earlier. Consumer confidence was not bad. Lower. All right, there we go. I'm going to refresh real quick here because I hate those screens. Average hourly earnings month over month was 0.3%, came in line. Average earnings year over year, 3.8%, slightly lower than consensus of 3.9 and 4. Participation rate was 62.5. That ticked up 0.1. That's good. Average hourly weekly hours, 34.2. That was in line. Government payrolls were much higher than the negative 5,000 forecast. There's 19,000. That's fascinating. What the fuck is that about? Manufacturing payrolls, 1,000 actual versus a forecast of 1,000 and a consensus of 4. Non-farm payrolls, 209,000 versus previous of 116. Consensus was 127 and 105. So the private job market, the government payrolls, the participation rate, the average hourly, like all this stuff looks pretty good to me. I don't know. Non-farm payrolls, private. Yeah, dude, what is that? That's wild. Let's just look over here real quick. So again, it looks, well, it's hard. There's this anomaly in data. I just got to go to the 3-year. So it looks good. It looks good. Even government payrolls look stronger than expected. I want to see real quickly here. I think they're talking about this on CNBC. I want to see what's happening. This is weird. I want to see what their take is. Let's just bounce back a little bit here. What's the market doing? Not much. All right.
Put someone in there.
Octobot.
Paris Hilton, we used to put in there. That's hot. And our own Steve Fleisman and Rick Santelli also.
Real quickly, in regard to the Fed and whether they should be cutting, yeah, they should be cutting. With bond yields coming down, they're restrictive and there's no reason for it. A cut chance now is 44% almost for May. So in roughly, 4 weeks now, almost, we're going to see a rate cut.
Mike Santoli. Anyone want to, who's like bursting to say something? Anybody? Because we got about a minute and a half. Someone raised their, I guess I should call on someone. Jared, you're never at a loss for words. You want to just take a victory
I just
lap
wanted to
and
say,
do you want to just say, I told you so, nani, nani, nani?
No, I just want to say I found that discussion about Powell to the rescue to be really interesting. I didn't know. I hadn't seen the Fed futures this morning, so Steve's announcement was really interesting. And the conversation about how you do that with a potential stagflation scenario is an important one.
The stagflation thing's driving me nuts.
It feels like a little bit like...
To be clear, we're nowhere near stagflation. If anything, we're going to see disinflation over the short term, because of the fact that everything is grinding to a halt. Prices don't go up when things grind to a fucking halt. They go down significantly. Now, if we have a problem like 1.35% that we're at today, if we have a problem where let's say stagflation happens, or let's say disinflation happens for a long time, and everything starts slowing down in the world and companies start to go out of business, then you can have issues where you have a supply crunch and you could have a stagflation type environment. That is not what's happening right now.
Wishful thinking from the market.
Market seems to be recovering. MSTR up 1.25% in after hours. Tesla only down 4.7 now.
It's at this point, hoping that that's going to be what happens.
The market
Yeah, that's the guy who didn't know how Fed printing works. Yes, that's the guy.
reaction tells you that the market thinks the Fed can play a role here.
Yeah.
It doesn't undo it, and I'm not saying the Fed's going to do it.
I think it's better than the VIX in terms of a gauge of fear. There is real fear right now about either the stock market
VIX is dropping.
or the economy, or both.
I think it's going to be the Fed is going to be very reactive.
Because
reactive
remember
to
what happened after
policy,
Smoot-Hawley? They're so afraid.
to economic data, and so it's going to take a significant worsening, especially of the labor market, for the Fed to actually step in. This is not
Of
the
real
major
data
player
or
here.
forecast data?
Well, I think Chair Powell made it clear that he takes soft data with a grain of salt.
Okay.
That he needed to see some harder data.
We got to
first.
get to Rick, and then Rick can talk about why he thinks Fed futures are doing what they're doing. He's at the CME. First, let's get these numbers, Rick, and see if it's starting already.
Yes, this is a big March jobs report. Non-farm payrolls beats estimates. 228,000 jobs.
Crazy.
That would be the strongest this year, and it would comp to 323,000 indice of last year. There is, however, a minus 48,000 2-month revision, minus 48K.
Okay.
Now, let's go for the unemployment rate, shall we? Expected 4.1 moves up to 4.2. That equals where we were in November. To find a higher rate, you're going to October of 22. Now, let's look at earnings, shall we? This is month over month. Comes in exactly as expected at 3/10 and exactly is in the rearview mirror. If we look at a year-over-year perspective, it's coming in light. 3.8%. We were expecting 4%. 4% was our last look. 3.8. When was the last time we were at 3.8? Well, 3.6 is our comp. That's July of last year. So we have been there, and we have softened and come back before. Yes, July of last year when it was 3.6. Now, let's look at hours. Hours for all employees. 34.2, which is what we expected. That's up 1/10. That's good news from 34.1, equals where we were in D's. To find a higher number, you're in Nova of last year. Labor force participation rate coming in at 62.5. That is indeed good news. It's up 1/10 from both expectations and the rearview mirror. 62.6 was January, so we reversed that 62.4 that was down in the middle there. And finally, the last number, U6, or the underemployment rate, that comes in at 7.9%, down from 8%. That 8% level we had last look was the highest since October of 21, so it's
I don't know
nice
if I'm
to
getting
see
much
that.
out of this.
It was 7.5 in January of this year. Of course, this report, in my opinion, has some good aspects to it, but I think those will be diminished. I think the market would only react to more negative aspects considering the recent news. And very, very quickly here, I went back and looked at the crash in 87 from October 19th, 7 sessions. We went from a 10-year of 10.23% to 8.72%. In 7 trading sessions, that's a drop of 15%. If you equate that to our last peak now in 10s at 436, it arrives at a number of, drumroll, 3.71% on a 10-year if we keep the same stencil as the crash in 87.
BTC's doing
Back
good.
to the panel.
So Steve, or I'm sorry, Rick,
We'll see
no
how long it
evidence yet
lasts.
of the imminent end of the world, obviously, but that doesn't mean it's not. Are these? Here's what I'm saying. These numbers, I would like to say they're meaningless because they're in the rearview mirror and they don't include what's happening in the past week or so. But what you can
like
say
a week
is
ago.
you're going to have to try hard to kill this economy. And Jared's probably sticking his chest out and saying, see, I told you how great our economy was. But you're going to have to try hard to kill it. Have we killed it? Are we on our way to killing it right now with what's happened this week, Rick?
The U.S. economy is like a steam locomotive. Okay, you could put a lot of impediments in its way,
Rolling
and
down
it'll
the
crash
track.
through and slow down a bit. But I do think that the momentum of the U.S. economy is going to remain strong. Does that mean it's not going to be nasty for a while? I think it will be nasty for a while. I think what we're doing, there's no other way to present this to investors or to the population at large. All they have to do is turn on the TV and look at the markets. But yes, I agree with your premise. I don't think this is by any stretch of the imagination a death knell for the U.S. economy. As a matter of fact, I'll stick to my guns. Many are saying China's in the bird seat here. I disagree.
Yeah,
I think the
Totally
bird seat
agree.
here is the consumer of the world. We are the consumer of the world, and
Fuck yeah,
everybody
Rick.
else is going to have to fight.
tell 'em, brother.
Because they're all
Right.
export economies.
I think we
and
could
that,
outlast
to me,
China,
is at the
Rick.
heart.
I
Yes.
think we could outlast China. I do.
Oh, absolutely. Look at their debt. They have whole cities that are empty.
Not that
I
we want to
agree.
do that.
I was just
Play a
gonna
game
say.
of chicken. I know.
Fuck yeah, we do.
Well,
I mean, that's
China
really-
We literally do because we have $7 to $8 trillion worth of debt we have to refinance. We do have to play chicken, and we win.
might deserve it. Why five cuts now then, Rick?
Pardon?
Why
Because that's
five
what we're
cuts
trying to
now
fucking
instead
do.
of futures now.
Well, listen.
Why don't they ever?
Said this.
Why don't they ever talk to the $7 to $8 trillion worth of debt that we're trying to refinance? Why isn't that a topic of conversation and a focus on here?
In the first day we started to see volatility, that there has been, and always will be a Fed put to the equity markets, no matter how much they protest. Whether we actually get 5 cuts or not, it's a salve psychologically just to see it getting priced in.
I'm going to go to Steve, who shockingly on break said to me, I can't believe Trump was right again about predicting lower rates. Did you say that to me, or did I?
You shockingly during break mischaracterized what I said. No, that was you who said that, Joe.
Oh, that's me who said it.
And you wanted me to say it.
I was kidding. We should put out, this is a terrible way to
love
get your
Joe.
5 cut.
But here's the thing: we can have some little levity here because these numbers are good.
Right.
Retail up 23. I'm sorry, the
Yeah, so these numbers are good, and I 100% agree with that. That's awesome. Let's keep rolling down here because, again, there's this hypocrisy with tariffs coming from the left. Also, somebody put, this is great. So Wall Street Apes has all these times where Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, and I don't even know who's down over here.
What would you do differently, Don?
Oh, this is the Donald Trump one that I played yesterday. But where they talked about how we need to have tariffs against China, reciprocal, we need to make sure that we're not letting too much trade go overseas, all the things that we're saying right now. And then Dutch put, from nations like China was Obama's quote, trade negotiations ain't supposed to be picking a fight with the world. And I said, sorry, but it is what it is. The U.S. is going back to not funding the rest of the world anymore, and we want our reparations because I'm feeling cheeky today. I couldn't help it. All right, so let's keep going on. I'll skip all those. So somebody pointed out, Tyler Durden said the S&P index to inauguration day, and he just talked about how we're going to keep falling and falling and falling. I said I voted for this to bring back manufacturing to this country, and this is a short-term byproduct, so be it. But again, we're showing a strong hand today, which is good. Michael Arout, I don't know how you say that. He's from Germany. He says there's absolutely no way to assess what will happen next to the economy and the markets. Nobody knows anything. Don't waste your time listening to pundits. We're on uncharted territories. I do agree that it's crazy and that there's a lot of variables that can play out right now. This is 100% true. If you look over here, this is what we've just done. The Smith-Hawley pact that we had was over here, right? Like this is where we raised rates in the 30s after they were raised in the 20s, the roaring 20s. So we did it again here. This is what we've essentially done right now. But what I said is, hey, we're not going to be at these levels. Worst case, I think, in the next couple of months, we're down to here. And we're sitting at half of what we are right now if we're fighting with China about this. Or maybe it goes up and then it goes down, but it will go down. The whole point is it needs to go down. Martin Pilda, Trump reposting America Papa Bear videos on Truth Social explaining what the administration is doing. All the stuff we have been talking about. Yeah, again, they've telegraphed this. They haven't lied to us. They've told us what's coming. And this is something that I wanted you guys to think about too, is again, once we start doing more, it's going to be years before we start doing a lot more internally within our own ecosystem, right? As far as manufacturing and production and pulling rare earth elements, we're just starting that right now, and we're going to aggressively work towards it. But it'll take years to ramp up. But what this man's talking about is 100% true. I want you to hear this. He says, "I'm not a pro-Trumper at all, but."
So do you want to know the part that they're not telling you about tariffs? Here's the reality that nobody's talking about. Nobody. This lighter costs $25 in America to buy an American-made product, okay? China makes one, sells it for $20 here in America. Out of that $20, $5 goes to whoever in America sells it. $15 of it goes back to China. You buy the $25 one in America, all $25 stays in America. So now we want to say, let's balance this out, and we're going to put a 50% tariff on Chinese goods. Now this lighter costs $30 to sell in the United States. Now you have the U.S.-made one at $25. It is cheaper. It's more expensive in the big picture, I get it. But it's now cheaper, so people are going to buy the American-made one. 100% of the $25 that you spend stays in America, stays here. The demand increases for that business has to hire employees. When many businesses hire employees, that creates a supply shortage of employees, which make wages go up. Is this more expensive for the consumer in the short term? Yes, but you're getting a better product. You're getting a better product for your money, and the money is staying local. Okay, you're not funding these other countries and their businesses. That is the purpose behind all of this. Will we have a recession? Yes. Will prices go up in the short term? Yes. But the lagging effect is all of that money now stays here with us. It's not leaving the country, which gives us more money in the United States to go around for everybody. Of course, every nation in the world is going to say, we're being bad neighbors and bad business partners. Well, of course, we've made them rich. And now we as a people are suffering. We want our money back. Why is that so hard? It's not.
Yeah, demand your reparations now, guys. So, yeah, just to be clear, what he's saying is 100% accurate. We will encounter a problem when that happens, which is why we need to be fiscally responsible right now. Because we have to have balanced budgets when that occurs, or have to be buying Bitcoin with Bitcoin bonds or something to offset budget-related concerns, because you can't just use the money printer in the world that he's talking about, because it's bad, right? It increases inflation directly into your economy when you start to create a loop in your economy and not outside of it. Like we've been exporting inflation to the world with our money printing, right? We won't have that luxury 5 years, 10 years from now, but also we'll have robotics, autonomy, all these amazing things happening around that time. So I think we're on a precipice of something beautiful. We need to start building things in America again. And you know what happened? Back when we did build stuff in America, you could get a fridge and it would last you 50 fucking years. You could get a car and it would last 25 years. That is just not the world anymore. It's getting better with companies like Tesla, but it's just not the world that we live in. And we need to fix that. We need to make it to where we're not buying junk. And again, some of the stuff coming out of China is a lot better than it used to be. I won't make an argument to the fact that it's not. But we can do better here, and we can increase the ecosystem in our own country and the flow of capital in our own country, which is what all these Keynesian economic people love so much. So I love the way he broke it down. I think it was brilliant. Let's listen to this real quick, too. We're going to listen to Jameson Greer, U.S. Trade Representative. Let's hear what he has to say.
You'll remember, Larry, from the first term, and you were there, we would argue and we'd get into these long talks with foreign countries about how they needed to bring down their barriers, bring down their tariffs, and they would just say, okay, let's have a dialogue. And even our friends, the European Union, Japan, all these others say, let's have a dialogue, we'll talk about it, and 2 years from now, we'll talk some more about getting it down. Well, the time for that is over. We have to export. We have to make sure that these other countries aren't exporting their own, lack of domestic demand to us and forcing us to take all of their stuff that they're making and that they won't buy themselves. We need to balance all of this out, and we need to do it now. President Trump tried really hard his first term to get people to do it through negotiation, and now at this point we have to take action for the American people, and we've done it. You'll remember.
Yeah, and I agree. We have to do this. Mauricio Montoya, that your last name reminds me of The Princess Bride. It's a great movie. You said, but that's not how things work. The Chinese product is $5, while the U.S. one is $25. Yeah, so you're right. Slave labor can get you things for a lot cheaper. When you have 1/3 of your country that are migrant laborers that are forced to basically work 100 hours a week in a factory and then sleep in it, and they can't even bring their families into the city because they're just poor migrant laborer that nobody gives a fuck about, you can make things cheaper. That is true. That's definitely a thing that can happen. But we don't want that to happen. We want to help our own economy. We can use automation in order to be able to reduce the cost significantly. And like he said, when you have jobs being created within your own company and you have wages increasing in your own country, not like the 70s, not like it's out of control, oil prices going through the roof and demand for all this, like all the craziness that we had from the stagflation environment then, but instead a pro-growth policy where your country's doing better and the bottom end of the bracket is doing better because they're employed and not smoking crack or fentanyl, sitting in some West Virginia mining town that hasn't had any real work for a very long fucking time. When you make it to where your economy is thriving and you're keeping money inside of it, you have a better ecosystem. And the globalism thing, I'm sorry, it just hasn't worked out. For us, we've been exporting our wealth to the world for decades. And it's time for us to stop that. And if we do that with a pro-growth environment in our country, low taxation, increasing jobs, people coming into the country and bringing business in order to be able to avoid tariffs, we're going to have a better economy in the end. We just are. And we're going to be the beacon that everybody wants to go to. The fact that we are turning into the freest country on the earth when Europe is starting to turn more authoritarian, like China, talking about a CBDC that they're trying to get implemented within the European Union by October so that they could start doing things like social credit scores, and maybe your money has a fucking expiration date associated with it. They're telling people not to use Bitcoin. They're doing all these things to try and control people and humanity and force whatever their view of the world is upon them. And then you see America, where the jobs are growing and you have a control over immigration and you have a bond market under control and you have debt that's being managed the best of any major superpower in the world. And you have all these things that make us look really strong and really dominant. We will be successful, and others will want to latch onto that so that they do well. So globalism, I don't think globalism is going away. It's definitely becoming, we're turning into that multipolar world that China always wanted, maybe just not in the way that they wanted it. So, but they're getting it. They're getting it, and I'm not sure they're going to love it at all. So Trump trade advisor Navarro says tariffs are not a negotiation. This is a national emergency. So again, there is multiple messages going on. Then Trump later yesterday said that on the plane that, hey, we could negotiate, but it's got to be something pretty good. Like, it's got to be really major. It's got to be big, I think is the term that he used. So they're sending out a bunch of mixed signals just to kind of force people to come to the table and say, what the fuck do you actually want? And I think that's good. Cooper here said, if we're going to make things in America, they're going to be more expensive. If they're going to be more expensive, maybe we can make them last longer. Return the 50-year-old refrigerator, a 25-year-old car that works well. Simpler, more robust products. I agree with all of that. I think that's what we end up having to do. Oak said, they sell good products there too. In Shenzhen, you may have the same product on the same street with 3 different companies, all making variations of the same thing, but one using, I don't care. I don't give a shit what China sells. I don't want us to buy their products. I think that we have an existential risk right now where China wants to destroy the West, and they're using sales of goods to try and do that. They're manipulating their currencies. They're doing product dumping in order to be able to kill entire sectors that the West used to dominate in. We have to fuck them now. Okay? Why you fuck me? We fuck you because you fuck us. Okay? That's what we're going to do to China right now. We're going to fuck them real good. If you got your kids in the car, man, I'm sorry. He looks kind of like Doogie Hazard. I don't know what that comment was. Chris Federal, no shortcut to place we're going. Believe I've tried. I'm not a religious fella. Rory, if products are made to last longer, does that help a juggernaut economy or slow it down? Great question. I think that if you're making great products, so this is like you're asking about Bitcoin, Rory. I don't know if you realize that, but there's been this thesis about Keynesian economics versus like an Austrian economic type philosophy, where Keynesian economics is you make garbage and you do it for cheap and you keep money moving and you print it whenever you need it and everything's good. And that's how you make a successful economy, right? Whereas Austrian economics is like, hey, yeah, thank you. Horrible Chinese accent. I got that off that other one where they were talking about Vietnam and it's like, or Cambodia. And it's like, why you fuck me because of the tariffs? I couldn't resist. But you have these differences, right? You have these differences between the Keynesian school of thought where everything is fucking disposable. You don't own anything. You print money when you need it. It's really the most asinine, like you keep the hamsters moving in the wheels, right? But I would prefer that we start building things that last. And if we look throughout history, there were plenty of times where the world was very successful and we had pro-growth, where we were building things that lasted, where we were building fridges that lasted forever. And honestly, if we like, again, we can do this again. I think we can do this again where we can enrich everybody, making better products that last longer. And keeping more money in our own country and being pro-growth and having financial freedom and having, having the ability to say what we believe. And I think we can have it all. I think we can have it all. Jesse, sorry, how were the CDN numbers this morning and comments? Everything was good. Non-farm payrolls, private blew everything out of the water. Even manufacturing payrolls, manufacturing payrolls were 1K versus a previous of 8. So they were a little bit low. Government payrolls were really high, which is odd. Non-farm payroll privates were massive. The unemployment, the U6 unemployment rate actually went down, and the regular, the participation rate and the unemployment rate in the United States, they were kind of like they everything kind of meandered. It wasn't crazy. So all in all, it was a good read today. It was a good read. My 80s fridge worked double as a snow machine in the freezer. Nice. Yeah, that, is a different time. Technology's advanced a little bit too. What causes credit spreads to reduce in the housing market? Stability. Stability when things get better. Chris, JT, yes, the frost-free freezers suck. What causes credit? Our TLT leaps 2027 a buy. I think they're going to look pretty good today. It's up almost 2% on the day, so they should probably look pretty good. I do think the market is kind of trying to figure out its bearings. We still got Tesla down 5% today. We've got Nvidia down 3%. It's recovered, I think, a little bit. The miners are negative, but just barely, except for IREN. That's down almost 6%. And MSTR is up 0.84%. So I think we're kind of like trying to figure out our bearings in the market. We're trying to figure out if Bitcoin can stay above the 4-year trend. We're trying to figure out how painful tariffs get. I think a lot of people, and I'm glad that people feel this way. I was worried that they wouldn't. I think a lot of people think that right now, at least, we'll see if this changes throughout the day, think that America will win this tariff war. I think that's a lot of the messaging that we're getting right now is that we're the winners in it. So also, too, we've got Canada. We'll see if they escalate any further. Canada to add 25% tariff on autos that don't comply with USMCA. So again, we kind of escalated a little bit with them. We've got threats coming from a lot of Europe. Definitely the European Union. And we haven't heard from them yet on what's going to unfold. So that should be an interesting to watch. Oh, this was great. This is unrelated, but this was funny. So this is that dude in Canada. I forget his title, but he's a dipshit. He's in government. Jagmeet, yeah. And this lady, so he's got a bunch of these workers here, and you got to see this. Watch this.
We've got a message to Donald Trump. You Democrats and workers are going to fight back and defend our jobs and our country. We're ready to fight back.
I love that. This was good too. I don't even know if I played this yesterday, but we're going to listen to this. This is Scott Bessent talking about tariffs yesterday with good old-fashioned CNN. I think he actually had Caitlin going like, oh, hey, it makes sense at the end of it. Let's listen.
Bring your factory to the U.S.
Yeah, and obviously with the cars, all foreign-made cars, imports, are getting a 25% tariff starting at midnight. If half the cars coming into the United States are foreign-made, that's hard to turn around overnight, as you know. So what would you say to people in the auto industry who are worried about that timeline and how quickly that can shift?
Buy American.
And what about American-made cars and produced cars that are being made using foreign-made parts?
Well, I believe the USMCA is exempt.
Yeah, those that are compliant with this. Obviously, yes. Canada and Mexico are not on here. A lot of these are our closest allies.
I just love that though, because he's like, just buy American cars, and yeah, we already exempted the Canadian that are part of USMCA. So I think all that was good. We had Howard Lutnick on the trail talking about all the reasons for why we need to do tariffs. I'm going to listen to a couple of them here.
You're going to see employment leaping starting today.
So if employment, in fact, leaps, and we'll come back to that, it may not.
So again, this is yesterday that he said that.
Not help much if prices themselves are also going up. So let's just level with people. In the short term, every economist seems to think the prices will go up.
I'm sorry, that's funny as shit. Martin Pilda said this is the usual timeline for them. He's talking about the EU. He said they're preparing to create a committee that will prepare a plan in 6 months that will be implemented after 2 years. That's funny. That's pretty funny and true.
Up. Should people be prepared for that, and for how long?
Well, I think you have to sort of understand how things work. When tariffs come into place, foreign goods may become a little more expensive, but domestic goods do not. So if you're looking at Poland Springs water versus, something, let's say, Fiji water, the Poland Springs is not going to be more expensive. So for the first time in your lives, you're going to actually think about the Americans who make the products, the Americans who produce these products and work in these factories.
Yeah, so we can actually have some American exceptionalism where we look and go, hey, do I want to get the American product for this one? It's cheaper. And at the very least, the people that look for all the cheapest goods will start buying American goods. And what does that do? What does it do for the economy? I don't feel like enough people are talking about this specific point. What does it do for the U.S. economy when our goods are cheaper than the foreign goods? What does it do? It helps increase the incentive that we're going to be purchasing from it. And again, some countries will hold tariffs, others won't. But we need to make ourselves more competitive in the global landscape. And there could be some pain in that process, which is why I have a little bit of cash, a whole lot of Bitcoin proxies, and other investments like TLT to hedge me.
It's time for us to take care of them instead of taking care of the world. You're going to.
So again, I think that's a good thing. Breaking Argentina in final negotiations. This was yesterday with the U.S. to become the first zero tariff country with the United States. So that's wonderful. It's smart that they're doing it. I think that's pretty good. Let's see here. Our tariffs are 3 to 5%. Yeah. Okay. Here's another good argument.
I think that what we're going to hear is a lot about this idea of reciprocal tariffs, as you just mentioned. The idea that the United States does have the lowest tariffs virtually in the world. Mm-hmm. And as Trump has been saying, that these other countries are ripping us off. They're not playing by the rules of the game. It's not a level playing field. And, I'm a free trade guy. I believe it's beneficial to the world to lower tariffs as much as possible. If Trump's policies work out here.
Sorry, did we get another data point? What was the negative 32? Employment change March comes in at 8:30. What did you have? 8:30 AMCA employment change March. So we're getting more employment data today? Is that what you're telling me? Or are you talking about, what's the AMCA? Sorry, guys. I need some clarification on what you're looking at for these acronyms.
I do believe at the end of the day that there will be a lowering of tariffs around the world. Our tariffs are...
Let's actually look at that real quickly. Impact. Do I have Canada on the list? I do. All right. Yeah, there we go. Employment change. Woof. So employment rate isn't that high yet. And full-time employment plummeted. Part-time went up a lot. Holy shit. That's a big drop, yo. So 62,000. Let's see. Is that the biggest since the pandemic? It's close. April 21st. So you had some of this reverberation after the pandemic. But worst number for Canada in over 3 years for full-time employment change. Thank you for pointing that out, man. That's awesome. I mean, it's horrible for Canada, but it's very interesting to see this. Very fascinating. So the U.S. is doing good with jobs, and Canada is not. I think that says a lot about the whole carbon-based, or carbon taxation, liberal bullshit versus the United States. That's huge. Martin Pill, the VTC proxies running with the rest of the market chopping and going down would be absolute best scenario for me at the moment. Miners look resilient. It would be. My only worry is that they end up rolling over too. But with miners especially, and maybe with MSTR, maybe it's just time for MSTR to bounce and I made the wrong move yesterday. It's possible. But it's still down. What is it down right now? It's down. Let me bring this back. So it was down 57%. It's only down right now. I can't tell where this is at. Is it here or up here? Nope, it's up here. So it's down only about 47% right now. That's still a lot. But when compared to the miners, I mean, the miners are down like almost 70% on Mara and then over 70%, maybe 75% on CleanSpark. So they've really been butchered over that period of time, like heavily fucking butchered. So we'll see how that plays out. Let me see here. What else we want to talk about? What's the fear and greed index? Is that getting better? Still -6. So not really doing much right now. Let's hop over here. Yeah, let's finish this up, this tariff talk.
About 3 or 4 or 5%, and many other countries are above 20%. And so that just is something we can't live with. And at the end of the day, this could be a liberation from those high tariffs that these other countries are charging American-made, whether it's cars or whether it's our manufactured items or whether it's technology. It simply isn't a fair trading system right now.
100%. Also, you guys were talking about Elon Musk in chat. Let's go back. That's probably a good thing to segue into. With Elon, I could totally see. So we've got that $1 billion fine that Europe is looking to apply to Elon. I think that's fucking insane. I think that's insane. We're going to listen to Brad Gerstner in a second here because he's brilliant. But I think that is absolutely fucking crazy for Europe to look to find a business right now because they're not censoring communications enough, especially after the ultimatum that Trump gave the UK about, even though they had lower tariffs to begin with, they're just at the 10%. We're probably not giving them anything better anyway, because I think we're going to keep that base of 10% with every country in the world to make up for lost time and apply more pressure to them. And just, again, benefit our manufacturing sector, because if we're leaving some kind of base tariff with the rest of the world, then we're going to make it to where we start looking more internally for a lot of other things, even if it takes the next few years to ramp up to it. What was my thought? I might have lost it. Oh, yeah. But with Tesla is going to, what they're doing in Europe is really, really stupid. And I think it's only going to hurt their business climate even more, just like Canada is right now. You can see it in the data today. I think that same thing is happening in Europe. And I think we're going to win this tariff war. We're going to win it. And I don't know, maybe the market starts to figure that out sooner than I thought they were going to. But we are going to win the war easily. Let's listen to Brad Gerstner real quick here.
Brad, the last time we were together was out in San Francisco. You made headlines, of course, when you told us exclusively that you had sold Uber and that you had bought Tesla, thinking that the game had changed.
Yeah, that's nuts,
in the big picture. I'm wondering what you think about that now, if your position still exists, Obviously, the tremendous amount of controversy around Elon Musk, his role in the government versus what he, according to analysts, should be spending more time on, that company, as the stock has just gotten hammered.
Yeah, listen, we weren't big in either of these names, as I said at the time. I think the big news, Scott, was that I was a long-time and large shareholder of Uber. And starting in the spring of last year, when we saw full self-driving,
killed it.
12.3, and then by the end of the year, 12.9, we just knew autonomy was here. And, I have a new Tesla Model S I bought in December. It drives me everywhere. I tweeted about it the other day. I don't touch the steering wheel. I think it's quite extraordinary. In fact, I think Faber tweeted something or said something on air that got tweeted over the weekend about how he experienced it. And so I'm absolutely convinced robotaxi is coming. It's coming from Waymo. It's coming from Tesla. And it's coming from others around the
Tesla's
world,
way better.
and many in China. That Uber is partnering with around the world. And I think this does pose a risk fundamentally to the Uber business model. Now,
Uber will die. He's right.
listen, Dara Khosrowshahi, he was an amazing CEO of that company, is taking the steps necessary to forge the partnerships around the world. They've announced partnerships.
Forging partnerships is great, but when you have the leading EV maker and autonomous driving company on Earth that's everywhere, and they don't need you, and there's no point to even having you. You're just an extra layer on the stack to take money from them. You're going to die.
With several companies in China, and companies outside of China. I just don't have the confidence yet that that is fully come together and is really going to be able to stand up to the full stack solution that Tesla has. We're not big in either name today, right? Tesla has its own challenges with the global recession.
Josh, let me interrupt you because I really want to make sure the viewers get your take on this. I'm of the opinion that the consumer wants the lowest price and the fastest pickup when they summon any ride-hailing situation.
That's going to be Tesla.
If you go on the Tesla app because you're into Tesla or you love Elon Musk or you care about the battery or whatever, and it's 13 minutes away, isn't it more likely that you won't do that a second time? You'll start.
But they're not going to be 13 minutes away. They're going to be fucking everywhere because they already are.
Off on an app that has both autonomous and Teslas and everything else, and you'll get the fastest ride for the lowest price. And if you agree with that, would that explain why Tesla is down 35% year to date while Uber is up?
Yes, I think it's a very fair point. Listen,
Thank you.
I think if you look at it, in the full arc, we sold our Uber closer to $80 a share, and it bottomed at 60. It's now back to 70. Tesla's down a lot. Like I said, like net, I'm
agree,
happy with the way we managed those positions, and
I'm sorry, that comment that he made was fucking stupid. There are literally Teslas everywhere. If people can turn them on and make a mint, you'll be able to spin up entire jurisdictions very fucking quickly. Uber can't sell to Tesla. Tesla doesn't need them. Why would Tesla need them? Tesla has literally already showed a design for their own app. They have the cell phone app. What does Uber offer in any way to Tesla? Nothing. And when does Tesla acquire companies? Never. They never do that. It's only rare circumstances with like battery technology so that they can make a vertical stack. But there's no offering whatsoever from Uber that would be helpful to them. Nothing.
I still think we're in a place where we can't really definitively answer the question. We do know that Tesla is going to launch a really great solution. But to your point, Josh, if they don't have speed of pickup in Austin when they launch in June, and if they don't have the lowest price, then there is no market for them, right? Waymo and Uber are
It's going to be free. Is that a good price?
Already there, right? And that's what this game is about. It's about price and it's about convenience. But we've seen Waymo gain tremendous market share in Los Angeles, in San Francisco. The net promoter scores are even higher than a ride with a human in them. Right? We see parents all over San Francisco that are getting their kids to after-school activities in Waymos with no drivers. They actually prefer it to an Uber with a driver.
So you just said, here's what he told me right now by saying that. Waymo is $140,000 a fucking car. Tesla is down to like, it will be sub 30 for their costs for building these fucking things. So you're 1/5 the cost, basically, of what these Waymos cost. And yet you're going to have the exact same technology. There's no competition here. There is no competition anywhere for Tesla right now. Anywhere.
So I believe that autonomy is here. I believe that we're going, the technological challenge of full self-driving has been cracked. I think Tesla is in a great position on that, but they have to execute, just as you said. Waymo's in a good position on it, but they're still subscale. And the real question around Uber was, can they find the partnerships and solutions that allow them to compete?
You know what's funny about all this, and I'm probably done listening to this one. I didn't know what it was going to be. What's funny to it in regard to this is that Brad Gerstner is brilliant, but he doesn't seem to know shit about why Uber, something he had a ton of money in, is going to fail, and why Waymo is a shitty solution that's going to fail because it uses high-def mapping, expensive LiDAR systems. It can't go everywhere. You can literally watch Teslas driving like on the edge of two cliffs, going along a dam or something, like just crazy shit right now, better than any Chinese system that's out there. And yet he doesn't understand that Tesla is the future of this and has an astounding lead where they're not paying $140,000 a vehicle for a Waymo, where they're still having people remotely drive these cars when things get weird. So like, there's just nothing to compare here. It's actually astonishing that he doesn't get that. Also, Tesla just launched FSD supervised early access program in the US. It ain't beta anymore, bitches. We've got early access FSD coming out. I can't sign up for this yet. If you guys know how to sign up for this, tell me. I need to figure it out. I want it. I'm assuming it comes with a release update and then you have to do it. I don't know where this is. If you guys know where this is, please to God, tell me. When is Waymo scheduled for New Delhi? Yeah, right? It's not going to happen. But if you guys know how to get it onto this list, I'm assuming it's just going to like all the normal beta testers that are like right at the front of the list right now. So probably like people like Omar and others. And here's the EU, again, talking about fining Elon Musk $1 billion and then potentially targeting SpaceX's revenue because of the political motivations that are there. It's just fucking insane. It's a great way to kill your economy and make every business want to flee en masse. Global government affairs. So this is X. If the reports that the European Commission is considering enforcement actions against X are accurate, it represents an unprecedented act of political censorship and an attack on free speech. X has gone above and beyond to comply with the EU's Digital Services Act, and we will use every option at our disposal to defend our business, keep users safe, and protect freedom of speech in Europe. Son of the Walkies has Cantor Fitzgerald maintains Tesla overweight rating at $425 because of autonomy. And again, this is just nuts, but Xpeng and Xpeng X9 comes equipped with 2 LiDARs. It hits a trailer with NGP while its system was activated, its full self-driving system. Look at this. Look at this. Watch this. Look at this. Fuck. Can you imagine being that person? Look at that. Like, it looks like they didn't die, but this is their system. This is Xpeng's system right here, okay? And this is what they're all like, all these systems, because they look at dots and they don't know what the fuck they are, and they're not even well written. This does not happen with ours. This right here, this is from the other day. These young women here burned alive, just incinerated, melted down to carbon dust. These women. Why? Because their shitty Xiaomi SU7, that Porsche wannabe looking fucking thing, melted down after it slammed into a railing at a high speed. But look at this Tesla over here. This Chinese man is talking about how did this Tesla not start on fire? How are their batteries so good that the pillar over here got utterly destroyed and the battery didn't even get damaged in this car? And this is just a normal thing with Teslas. They're very, very safe. And there's just like the whole, like, there's so much competition in China. It's just all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Tesla is doing really, really well right now, guys. I hope you can understand that. And then you have Giga Texas Megapack 2 assembly today, delivered 10.4 gigawatt hours of energy storage in the first quarter. So what better way to help celebrate than installing a second Megapack system at the world's headquarters? Here's a brief video showing it. So that we just got, Tesla's just growing from all ends, and I'm here for it. I'm very much here for it. Spain announced $14 billion program to support companies that face tariffs. That's the money printing. Maybe I will have to buy back some MSTR. I might, I don't know. I might just buy MSTR, not, I don't know. I got to think about it. Are we at the stage where the money printer just goes burr and I should own MSTR? Maybe I should. Or at least have some allocation. I got to think. That's interesting, though. That Spain one's very interesting. I'm going to see if I can find that real quick here and retweet that, because that's fascinating. Spain. Oh, I should put Spain tariff, maybe. Yeah, because that gets me some weird shit. Spain tariff. Oh, not tariff. If you guys have a link to that, can you throw it in chat on X too? President Trump signed an order imposing a 25% tariff, and that's old. All right, April 2nd, seems like tariffs could provoke a recession in Spain. Primary exports. Announces a tax on supermarkets because of it. That's old. Okay, yeah, if you guys have any of those posts, can you throw them on X? I'd love to see them. Just like tag me in something. They're poor losers. Stock market is not for the weak of stomach. Yeah, that's true. The U.S. economy is also what? China needed to do this to save face and not look like a whipped dog. You can bet negotiations behind closed doors are underway. People should understand China's economy is in a delicate... Yeah. So is the U.S. Dude, it's not comparable. People that think that we're so delicate are just fucking stupid. Spain tariff 14. Good call. Somebody knows their keywords. I was just telling people how they need to get better with prompts. I probably should too, huh? Thank you for that. Let's see if we can find it. Thank you for that. There he is. That motherfucker. We don't like him. I don't know a lot about Spain. I'm assuming he's some liberal cunt that's like printing a bunch of money and destroying your country. Real quickly here, we've got about 10 minutes until the bell. I think I'm going to real quickly jump to live and play this out, and I'm going to go to the bathroom, do my bathroom break, and I'm going to get some
Friday.
coffees.
Don't go anywhere.
Oh, wait. We're going to go back, though, to allow me enough time, because these guys, let's see, we're going to see what the Labor Secretary has to say about tariffs. All right, I'm going to let that play, because that actually looks like it might be interesting. Let me know if you guys hear anything good. I'll be right back.
Thank you for having me. It's a great day in America.
We're definitely watching government employment, federal, local, state. There's a sense that this might be still a Doge-free print. Do you agree?
Well, I can tell you where the focus is the efficiency and the streamlining. Where we did see some government growth was in local government. As maybe many know, I was a former mayor, so the closest to the people is where that growth happened in government. So we're seeing the efficiency happening here at the federal level and starting to streamline with the private sector.
Madam Secretary, I think this is a snapshot in time, and it's a good one. And I'm actually quite gratified because it could insulate us from what would happen. But do you think the stock market should play any role in the thought of anyone in the administration, or is it just an abstraction?
Well, I can tell you this. This is, we blew it out of the water. The expectations, 140,000, we're seeing 223,000 jobs to uplift the American men and women of this country. That has been the focus of the president. Certainly, when we're talking about the market, it is a snapshot in time. And what I expect that this is not going to continue it to be stable. We're going to see growth for the American workers, and that is going to affect the market in a positive way.
Well, Madam Secretary, where exactly would the growth come if we are deciding that perhaps the Smoot-Hawley tariffs under Hoover are too low?
Well, we're seeing investments by many other businesses. We're seeing tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars being invested in this country. That is going to boost the American worker. What we have seen from the past administration over the last 4 years has hurt the American worker. I can tell you this, President Trump nominated me, I have been confirmed, and I will be on the road every single day to talk to those American workers, because that's what we want to see. The president cares about this workforce more than any other president. He is the president of the American worker. I am aligned with him, and we are going to make those positive gains every single month. So that snapshot in time is going to continue to be positive every single month.
So you don't see a negative jobs print, say, this year?
Well, I can tell you this. Right now, what we're seeing was positive. We blew it out of the water. Even all the economists that looked at this thought we were going to have a depressed jobs report, and we didn't. So that's a testament to the president, the economic output that he is doing. Look at the Rose Garden that we had the other day. Who was in the audience? It was all the American workers. We had our Teamsters there. We had our United Auto Workers there. We're seeing those investments pay off, and I would expect that to continue.
We did have some negative revisions, of course, over the last couple of months. We also had these layoff numbers from Challenger yesterday, up 200% year on year.
Did we hear anything interesting here? Anything? There he is, the IMF, Sanchez. I'm here, Dirty Sanchez. I know him. Take a shot every time she says American worker. How was it? Was she telling us anything interesting, or should we skip the rest of it? We got about 6 minutes until we get the 8:30 opening bell. I don't know. Bitcoin's still holding up pretty good, but it does look like it's kind of rolling over too. Tesla, but it's like things are rolling over and recovering. Hood not doing super good today, down almost 7% in pre-market. I just don't. I think what we're going to see. I think what we're going to see in the days ahead, and it's interesting that we're seeing the money printing in Spain, because it's like, okay, that's going to help prop up Bitcoin, but then at the same time, people are looking to buy. They're looking to buy in other markets that are falling. And so to me, it seems like Bitcoin, being the most liquid asset on earth, might still roll over. But it's just, there's so many mechanics underway right now. I think I'm just going to stick with where I am, a conservative approach where I've got some cash. I've got my hedge in TLT that's up 2% today, which means the underlying could be like, or I should say this, not the underlying, but the calls maybe could get 15% or more if things keep going the way they're going. And so I'm probably just going to stay kind of diversified. I've got like $1.5 million plus in Bitcoin and related investments, and then ARKG and some of these other things. So I'm just going to kind of be a simple man and not be too crazy right now, and just kind of middle of the road, I think, because there's just so much going on. I will buy some dip today, though. That is a goal for sure. Let's see what we have though for the 8. We got the 8:30 open. Then we don't have any more economic data. It's just Fed Chair Powell. Is Powell actually speaking at 10:25? Does anybody know if he's actually going to be talking at 10:25 or not? And real quickly, so thank you for that. Thank you for that Spain inflation report. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to take a look here and see if there's anything else new that's coming up. Fear and greed at 6. What are we at right now? Is it still 6? It probably hasn't changed because the market hasn't opened yet. Five cuts now priced in, first in June. Honestly, it looks, the way it's changing, I think the first is in May. We're at 43.6% for May. So, or wait, no, it did drop. It did drop with the data because we had better employment data. So now it's down to 34.6. So it's a little bit lower today. All right, let's see. Chris Federal, no one in here. Dirty Sanchez, it's an old, yeah. So he's like, come on, people. Mike, Grok says 10:25 Central Time, 2 for the Powell speech. Okay, all right, we'll see. We'll see if I can do that or not. Yeah, I think something's going on with the wife, so I got to check in with her. I will try to. That way I can just give my thoughts on what's happening with it. Anyway, let's go back over here. We've got about 3 minutes until the bell. Unaffected by tariffs, MicroStrategy moves higher in pre-market. That's probably a pretty good headline. Too many investors coming into the United States and investing massive amounts of money. My policies will never change. This is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. Wow. That's a pretty strong fucking statement. What time do I start my day? It depends. Usually around 4 a.m., something like that. It's pretty early. That is a pretty fucking strong statement, man. I'm going to put that under Trump here. That is a pretty strong statement. What time do you go to sleep? It depends on the day. Usually by 10 at the latest. So I try to shoot for 6+ hours a night. Yeah, so we got Jake saying that Bitcoin has deviated from the markets too and appears to be holding well. My only concern is that like we get more tariff related news from like Europe or something like that. 4 a.m. for a retired dude. Thanks for all you do. Yeah, I gave up. Like I said, it's my title over here says formerly retired. Somebody said it should say formally, and I'm like, no, dude, I was retired, and then I kind of quit retirement. So it's formerly. Hey, Jesse from Singapore here. Love to hear you whenever I get a chance. Thanks you for keeping it real. I try to, man. And I'm wondering if I made a mistake yesterday with MSTR. I'm still holding. I'm probably going to buy into it today. Maybe. I'm going to buy into some Tesla today since it's down 4.5%. I might even get some ARKG. I've been looking at that one too, and there is an argument to be made about maybe a reduction in government funding, but I think private sector funding is going to explode. And so the June calls, I don't know. I gotta look. I might do a little bit more of that today too. I'm not going to go crazy though. I'm going to keep some of my cash position. I know we've dropped so much. I know we could. There's so many things to think about right now. You've got tailwinds of seasonality behind us, and then Bitcoin seasonality and just regular investment seasonality. The decay on MSTX is crazy. It's crazy unless it works. So if you guys go back and look at the time frame where MSTR went up 350% over a period of like 3 months or plus months, you look at MSTX and MSTU and it went up 1,200%. So that 2x. It has an element of theta decay. It has a rebalancing issue. It's them trying to get it to where they're emulating 2x a day. But if you have really strong upticks in markets, then MSTX is a blessing. But maybe today, if I do any buying, it'll just be like buying MSTR and keeping it simple for now, and then looking to acquire more of that later. I do want to get some TSLL though once the market looks like we are open, and I missed the bell. Damn it. Let me go back.
McDonald House.
There we go.
See,
You got a bell, guys.
I find her to be somewhat not really on point for my questions, but there's.
We'll let the bell ring.
Hey, I'm a diplomat, but you really kind of want them to realize.
All right, so the market is open.
The market booming. The president used to ask me about the stock market. I would say, Mr. President, I think it could boom, but I don't want to bust in between.
Right. That's a good way to put it. We'll see if this bust develops. It's the opening bell and the CNBC real-time exchange and the big board. It's the Ronald McDonald House, New York, and partners RBC Capital Markets and the New York Rangers. They do such amazing work at the NASDAQ. It is Microsoft celebrating their 50th, and Andrew's been with them all morning long.
Wow, the market's looking really impressive.
Steve Ballmer's my classmate. He wrote for me at Harvard Crimson. Terrific guy.
Not gonna lie.
Satya obviously knows what he's doing. I'd love to ask him about whether he's really backing away from the data centers or whether he's working with OpenAI, because I think you can't really stop the build out. One of the things that you can't stop is the build out of AI because it's too important for the future. We don't have enough workers. I mean, that's another fact. I mean, they're not thinking forward enough. Peter, I really would like Peter Navarro to at least recognize that because I think Peter's very much in charge. I think
One
that
sec
Peter
here. I'm just making some
should
trades.
recognize the greatness of American companies.
What is happening? I'm just getting like alerts out the wazoo and everything's freezing. Are you guys still there? Can somebody say something in chat? What is going on? Can you guys say something in chat if you're there? My screen is getting weird, and I'm not sure if it's my computer. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Did things freeze at all? Can you tell me if things froze? You're still there. Okay. I'm gonna refresh my screen here. Video froze. Audio is fine. Okay. Is the video still? Ah, shit. I wonder what's going on. It's not a VPN. I have no VPN active. Something's weird. Shit, it's probably my internet, but it's not my VPN. Fuck. Let me see. I'm trying to refresh on my end. It's fine now? Okay. Jeez, man, I just got alerts going off like crazy right now. I'm trying to see if I can get CNBC back. I think my internet's weird, guys. It's not, yeah, I think it's my internet. Because my stream on CNBC is bad. All good now? But the problem is I can't stream CNBC. Let me just see. Maybe I'll just go over. They had Trump talking, and I want to see it. Looks like markets are starting to drop a little bit more. MSTR is taking a hit, in fact, and now miners are starting to drop. So it looks like the pre-market is going away a little bit. I don't think it... No, I think it's local. I'm even getting an error. Your YouTube isn't receiving enough of a video stream, which is weird because I normally don't have that problem. Yeah, I think MSTR could continue to roll over. Fuck, I don't know what's going on. Let me see. I'm gonna kill this one. Try and go down here and refresh. There's a problem connecting to the server. Please refresh the page. I don't know what's happening, man. Is anybody still seeing any weird issues right now, or is the video at least okay? Let me know if the video's okay or if it's still being weird. If it's still being weird, I might just call it, guys. No, you're good. Video's fine. Okay. All right. Well, here, let me just see. I'm just going to look and see what kind of things we're seeing for posts right now. I could go through some older stuff, but it seems like what's happening actively right now is the big concern. I'll try and refresh too and see. I'm just trying to see if I can get the video stream on CNBC to work too. All right. Let me see here. For anyone hoping Papa Powell comes out today and tries to save everyone, think again. Any signal from him and the market conditions are deteriorating and the market will drop even more. I think he's going to be positive. I think he's going to be, I should say this. I think that Papa Powell will actually be dovish today. I think that's the move. I think that's the move. The move is being dovish. And I could see more and more of that. Let's see. What's Tesla? Let's look at some charts here maybe while we're waiting. Mara's going down. I might. I don't know. I'm so conflicted. I want to buy back in. But I also want to be cautious, so I'm probably just going to stick with caution for now. We did on the S&P, guys. This is good, actually. Let me just show this real quick. So we are getting a pretty big flush out in the S&P without having Bitcoin down, which is phenomenal. Remember how I drew this chart the other day showing how we could hit that first fib level after breaking down from the neckline? We've actually done that. We've done that. So we have already broken down towards this 0.5 fib. Now, the question is, do we drop further? Do we have some kind of cascading thing where we get down here to this bottom end of the range? This is long-term support since the 2008 great financial crisis. So this would be a really interesting place to bounce off of. Yeah, I'm buying some TSLL today too. I'm definitely getting some of that. But I'm not going too overly crazy at the same time. But I am getting some. And I might even maybe I'll get 2,000. Because I'm just going to be like thinking that there's potential for things to get pretty nasty here too. Video got better. All good. Awesome. Can you tell it to go back up now? Which one? Yeah, so this is good though. This washout is good in markets. Today, Hood down 9%. We've got Palantir down 6.5%. We got ArcG down 4%. Just a lot of drops right now. A lot of things getting cheaper and cheaper by the minute. It looks like I bought some ArcG. I might buy some more of that, and I might buy a few other things today too. Let me just see here. June, buy. One sec here. I'm just trying to, my screen is really weird. I'm going to do this. I'm going to switch you guys. I'm going to give you guys the watch list so you can see, or actually I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the heat map up while I'm doing some trading here. And then I'm going to put it on right now. Performance for the day so that we can kind of see how things are going. Oh, let me see here. 48 limit. All right, one sec here. All right. So yeah, Bitcoin, it looks like MicroStrategy is rolling over a little bit, so that's good. It makes me feel a little bit better about my decision yesterday. Mara getting hit pretty bad. Iron getting hit pretty bad. Establishing new lows. Getting really, really cheap. I can only imagine the calls are getting butchered today. I'm just going to take a look and see what they look like, see if anything's worth buying. Let me see here. Yeah, they're pretty low. Gosh, I got to take advantage of this, I feel like. Let me see here. I wish, I don't know why, but my trading site is just really sucking lately, man. It looks like Hood calls. Hood calls down a lot today. Those 35 January 16s are getting butchered as we fall lower. I'm just checking other stuff real quick here. 0.58. Jesse, what are the risks of TSLL? Do you hold it overnight? I'm holding it now, but the risk is that any of these 2x funds, they rebalance. If you get chopped for a long period of time or they go down, you really lose a lot of value really quickly because you're using leverage. So they suck in that regard. They can butcher you pretty bad. So you want to step into them slowly or at the right time. You can hold them for months as long as the direction is like heading up. You'll do really well. Trading platforms 5 to 10x the usual traffic. That's probably true. That's probably true. There's probably some of that going on. I would agree. All right, let's see here. One sec. I'm just queuing up a few things real quick here. Not trying to get too crazy, but I'm just looking around. So I do think that maybe Bitcoin, or at least MSTR, is trying to roll over a little bit. We'll see if it can end up doing any better. But the rest of the market, guys, Hood is down 11% right now. Just look at this market. It's just crushed. You don't worry, guys. Flux is up. Is Flux really up? Is it? I don't own that anymore. Up traffic should be good for Hood. Yeah, it just all depends on the valuation. It's definitely coming down to earth. And yesterday when I was talking, maybe we should look at some charts. Yesterday when I was talking, I said, guys, you know what scares me about Hood right now? It's like this looks like a shoulder, the head, and then another shoulder, and now we're breaking down from it. And the measured move off of that was lower, right? It's like down over here towards like the 20s, which would be painful. And so I just don't know if we're doing this right now or if we're going to spring back quickly. I'm just not sure. But we're definitely seeing a lot of pain today across the market yet again today. A lot of pain. like blow off levels of pain. It's pretty nuts. Honestly. It's pretty nuts. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see where things go. Definitely. Ooh. Definitely the pain train. We'll see if these miners come back later. Hopefully they can. I'm glad I got some cash today. I'll tell you that much. Because it could be a way worse if I didn't. Let me see here real quickly. Yeah, wow. Hood's down 11% and dropping. I think the markets are starting to roll over pretty hard. Even Clean Spark. God, Mara down to 1050. 1048. Ever consider holding Nvidia? Not really. It's not my hold right now. I'm looking for more asymmetric bets right now. And I think Bitcoin is going to be the real winner. Even Palantir down 7.5% today, guys. Woof. Just crazy levels today. Crazy levels. Lots of bleeding. Lots of blood in the streets right now. Definitely happy to not be too off the charts with my investments and to have a little cash. And if the world doesn't melt down in the future, cool. I'll take it. I will take it. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's just a crazy day. This is just butchering. Let's look at the watch list here and see how ugly it is. Even though Bitcoin is still showing strength, I do like that. I like the fact that it's showing strength. Let's see here. TSLL down almost 13%. Hood down almost 12%. BABA down 10%. Remember how everybody was excited about Chinese stocks? That is gone. Let's look over here. We've got, the Chinese 10-year hasn't changed too much. It was down a decent amount. Yeah, just a butchering day. Butchering day. Lots of pain being felt. TLT working a little bit. Not a crazy amount. It's only up like 9-10% for my calls today. Which is good. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. It's like 20,000 plus that I've made off of that, but lots of other stuff bleeding. Oh, let's see here. What are we down now? Yeah, okay. Sorry, trying to get some more buys on here. I'm weirdly getting excited. That's good. Congrats. I hope it works out for you. Weekly RSI just hit 30 on the SPY. Wow. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy, dude. That's a huge number. Mara's getting butchered, too. I mean, maybe it's bouncing a little bit now, but it definitely was. We'll see if it can get some life back in it. It certainly needs it. Yeah, I'm in one of those modes where I'm just okay to sit. I've done a little bit of buying. I should probably show that. I need to post this real quick here. And I think after this, guys, I might, we need to remember August 5th, we had worse than this. This show passed too. I bought 2,000 worth last night. All right, let's just take a look here. Markets are shifting around a lot, it looks like. It's very weird. Okay, well, here, 1 second. Papa Powell needs to do his job here in a couple of hours. Yeah, I agree. He does. All right, so I did make some trades. I'm going to put them down here. So I bought some TSLL. I did buy like 3,000 shares in that, adding to my stack. And then I bought probably down like 11, 12% on the day. Then I bought some ARCG that was down like 20%. And I bought some Clean Spark that was down a shit ton too. And I have a Mara position, but I don't think it closed yet. And we'll see if it does here. I might try and get that in a second, but I'm just going to do a post here. And then I think after that, guys, I'm probably going to bounce here. Yeah, I'm probably going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and cut here. I'm going to post my trade here in a second, guys. Thank you very much for being a part of this. I hope you guys have a good day. And I guess it's Friday, so if I don't end up doing the stream because of a conflict with my wife, I'll get my portfolio updated over the weekend, and I will see you guys Monday. Take it easy. Love ya. Talk to you later. Peace out. Bye. Okay? Oh, wait. Better get the thing ready.